Hello, I'm Richard Gisbert, and you're at The Listening Post. This week, is the International Criminal Court dispensing justice for all? War crimes, Darfur, and the media. Mainstream news outlets go all at Twitter over microblogging. And the cult computer game World of Warcraft.
So here I'm playing as a character named Greg.
Is there a sequel coming down the online pipeline? Welcome back. Sudan and the conflict in Darfur are back in the media spotlight. The International Criminal Court recently issued an arrest warrant for Sudan's president, Omar al-Bashir, for war crimes and crimes against humanity. Since 2003, more than 200,000 people have been killed in the Darfur conflict. Another 3 million have been displaced. However, the ICC's charges against Sudan's leader have many in the media, particularly in the Arab and Muslim worlds, talking about a double standard. That the court has one set of rules for an African Arab leader and another set for Western politicians. Our starting point this week is Darfur, the arrest warrant, and the Sudanese government's media counteroffensive.
Today, a warrant was issued for the arrest of President Omar Hassan al-Bashir of Sudan.
The International Criminal Court indicted the president of Sudan for war crimes and crimes against humanity.
Yemeni citizens and officials demanded that Arab and African states take steps to overturn the decision, which they described as unjust, or else the stability in the region will be threatened.
Omar al-Bashir.
March 4th, and the pictures coming out of the court in the Netherlands and the Sudanese capital could not have been more different. Sudan responded to the ICC's arrest warrant for its president with huge rallies organized by the government in Khartoum.
Demonstrations on the capital streets, anger at what they see as Western interference.
And they used their own state-controlled media to get that message out.
They're utilizing the media to give the point of view of the government. They have a satellite television. The radio station is owned by the government. The officials there are paid by the government, and they are under the supervision of the Minister of Information.
The rallies that took to the street, some of them that were organized, some of them were spontaneous, were all over the Sudanese television all the time. They wanted to show that the Sudanese people, most of them at least, were supporting their president, that they refused this arrest warrant, and to convey the feeling that the Sudanese are just considering President Bashir the symbol of the dignity of their nation.
Few news organizations have a presence in Khartoum, so the official response to the ICC's decision came out of New York. Sudan's ambassador to the UN went on multiple news channels, hitting the media with the same message.
We have no relation with the International Criminal Court. We don't recognize its authority.
We are not going to be bound by any verdict. For us, ICC doesn't exist.
We know this court is a political court and politically motivated decision. It will never bother us at all.
However, the ambassador's talking points were not enough to feed the international media machine. Sudan can be its own worst enemy when it comes to media management. Its policy of strictly controlling the media can be counterproductive.
So far as the Western media is concerned, they really only seem to have one tactic, and that's to make it as difficult as possible for you to visit Sudan, and then once you're in Sudan, to make it as difficult as possible for you to get to Darfur. So their principal tactic is very straightforward. It's exclusion.
Conditions in Sudan.
The Sudanese, however, say it's the Western media that excludes. We spoke to the government's media council.
Quite frankly, we are very much disappointed in the coverage of the media because we notice a great deal of bias. To be fair, there are some television channels and radio channels which have given His Excellency the Ambassador, myself and other members of the embassy staff the chance to reply or make a point. But on the whole, the media has avoided us.
Sudan does not have the same complaints about Arab media. A year ago, The Listening Post did an analysis of Arab media's coverage of the Darfur crisis and President Omar al-Bashir's leadership of Sudan.
The problem with Darfur when it comes to the Arab media is it doesn't fit the script. The script, of course, is Arabs victims. Other people are the aggressors. But that's not the case in Darfur. In Darfur, Arabs are good guys and bad guys.
When the ICC announced its arrest warrant for President al-Bashir, Arab media rallied around Sudan.
The Arab media has definitely received the arrest warrant with suspicion. They say it is very selective, and of course they wanted to see other people being prosecuted by the ICC, especially after the invasion of Iraq and the events in Afghanistan. Again, with Gaza's war lately, they want to see the Israeli officials being tried on charges of crimes against humanity.
Making random accusations against Sudan while ignoring the genocide in Gaza shows that the International Criminal Court's decision was politically motivated.
Now that an Arab leader has been indicted by this international court based in a Western capital, it allows them to pile in and fit it into their general narrative of a conspiracy against the Arab world or whatever it is. So they're taking advantage of that opportunity.
Arab editorials often went along that line. One court, two sets of rules. Lebanon's Daily Star wrote, the ICC has been undermined by the fact that justice is perceived as being selectively applied. Its decision to arrest al-Bashir is evidence that the international body is applying double standards. Observers can easily point to other world leaders and culprits who should have also been caught in the ICC's crosshairs. The Saudi-owned pan-Arab daily Ash-Sharq al-Awsat said, the ICC will not be seen as competent and will not be regarded with respect so long as Olmert, Perez, Barak, Livni, George Bush, Rumsfeld, and Wolfowitz are not charged with committing crimes against defenseless, innocent people. The Arab media's suspicion of the ICC and its motives was most apparent during Al Arabia's interview.
Thank you, sir, for joining us.
With the ICC's Prosecutor General, Luis Moreno Ocampo.
You say it's not racial, it's not racist, but there are those who accuse the ICC of concentrating on the African continent. Most of your cases are in the black African continent. What do you say to these people who say, you are picking on us?
I think it's interesting and prejudice. It's propaganda. I think what I say is propaganda.
This decision represents a double standard which casts doubt on the legitimacy of the International Criminal Court.
In general, Arab media and other news outlets critical of the ICC do not defend the Sudanese president, nor do they minimize the tragedy of Darfur. What they are doing is asking the uncomfortable yet salient question: why is it a war crime when Arabs are deemed responsible, and not a war crime when Arabs are the victims? It's certainly not for a lack of evidence. Here's how our Global Village voices see the reporting of the International Criminal Court and the case of Darfur.
I think the ICC has tried to reach out to the Arab people throughout the media. The ICC prosecutor has made a great deal of interviews to Arab television, trying to explain his mandate, the mission of the court, how the court works. But I don't think the Arab public, because of years of lack of coverage on the Darfur crisis, they were not willing to hear any arguments supporting bringing Bashir before the ICC. And therefore, I think much of the blame is to be upon the Arab media for not covering what was going on in Darfur over the last few years.
For about 5 years now, the Arab media has been guilty of skimming over the crimes of Omar al-Bashir's regime in Darfur. Not surprisingly though, so much more attention was recently focused not on the catastrophic situation in Darfur, but on the ICC's arrest warrant instead. And that is utterly shameful.
We've got close to 300 Facebook users now on the Listening Post page. They go there to see what kind of media stories we're working on so they can weigh in as one of our Global Village voices. You can sign up too, or just email us at listeningpost@aljazeera.net and we'll find a way to get your voice on the air. Time now for Listening Post News Bites. YouTube has become a no-go website in Bangladesh as a result of the fallout from last month's mutiny amongst the country's border guards. Someone had posted an audio tape on the file-sharing site, a recording of a tense meeting between the new Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and military officers. The Prime Minister was trying to defend her decision to negotiate with the mutineers, but the tape revealed that the officers jeered her and prevented her from speaking. The website was blocked by the country's Telecommunication Regulatory Commission. The government defended the censorship, saying it has the right to stop any action that threatens Bangladesh's national unity. We've been following the Zimbabwe story and the prospects that the new power-sharing deal there will mean changes for the country's media. The release from prison of journalist Justina Mukoko might be a sign that things there are indeed shifting. Mukoko, a former newsreader with the government-run Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation, was arrested in December and charged with hatching a terrorist plot against President Robert Mugabe. Her release on bail has been welcomed by the media freedom group Reporters Without Borders, which cautions, though, that the charges against her have yet to be dropped. The organization says Mukoko was held in solitary confinement, tortured, and denied medication. The Iranian government has confirmed it has a reporter in custody, and the case has drawn the attention of U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Roxanne Saberi is an Iranian-American freelancer who has been reporting from Iran for 6 years. She was probably arrested for working without official accreditation, which the Iranians revoked in 2006. Media freedom groups have long criticized Iran for arresting journalists and suppressing freedom of speech there. The sentence has been handed down, and the price for throwing a shoe at an American president is 3 years in an Iraqi jail. Muntadar al-Zaidi, the Iraqi TV journalist, will do the time after his conviction for assaulting a foreign head of state during an official visit. After he launched his size 10s at George Bush in Baghdad and yelled, "This is a farewell kiss, you dog," al-Zaidi became a folk hero amongst Arabs. Many took to the streets to support him. The journalist's idea also caught on in the U.S., where Americans pelted an inflatable Bush effigy on Barack Obama's Inauguration Day. Sky News, the UK-based TV news channel, has appointed its first Twitter correspondent, whose beat will be what's come to be known as the Twitter sphere. Twitter is the social networking and micro-blogging service that is providing coverage of breaking news for more and more stories. The Mumbai attacks were certainly a case in point, as was the recent Israeli war on Gaza. For both stories, news media were fed information from mobile phones through Twitter. We're back after the break with a disturbing look at the secret world of one of the world's most popular computer games.